Interpretive listening. Interpretive listening will help you be an effective listener by following an easy process to ensure that what you heard someone say matches what they intended. The interpretive listening process has two essential parts. Inquiry. This is when you ask questions to learn more about what the other person is saying using open-ended and closed-ended questions. And clarifying. This is when you make sure what you heard and understood is indeed what the person meant. The easiest way to clarify is to paraphrase. Interpretive listening. Interpretive listening will help you be an effective listener by following an easy process to ensure that what you heard someone say matches what they intended. The interpretive listening process has two essential parts. Inquiry. This is when you ask questions to learn more about what the other person is saying. And clarifying. This is when you make sure what you heard and understood is indeed what the person meant. Let's start with inquiry. Inquiry refers to questions that can be productive or non-productive. Productive questions help you get information, facts, or data, or help you understand what happened or how someone thinks or feels. They can be structured in two ways: open-ended questions and closed-ended questions. Non-productive questions don't help you accomplish your goal, and if you use them, may cause a problem that didn't previously exist. Let's start with productive questions, open-ended and closed-ended questions. Open-ended questions are productive because they invite or open conversations. They help you understand a story as someone else perceives it. Remember, we seek first to understand, then to be understood. TED-H questions are excellent conversation starters. The letters from TED-H come from the first letter of each of the key words. T, tell me what, when, where, why, or how. E, explain what, when, where, why, or how. D, describe what, when, where, why, or how. H, help me understand what, when, where, why, or how. TED-H questions are especially useful when the answer is followed up with a probe for more information, such as, what do you think? What makes you believe? How did it happen that? Closed-ended questions can also be productive. These questions can help to understand the other person's story, but can close conversations because they typically ask for a one-word or phrase answer. They are answered by a yes or a no or brief specific facts and data, such as, what time did that incident occur? Or, how often has that happened? Sometimes all you want is a yes or no, a name or date or time or number. But if you want to problem solve or engage in a two-way conversation, you have to include a healthy dose of open-ended questions. This is why we recommend you start your inquiry with TED-H questions. There are some questions you may have already experienced as non-productive. These almost always lead to an undesirable outcome, such as shutting the other person down or even escalating a conversation into conflict. Let's take a look at these questions. The following non-productive questions are common. You can probably relate to each of them. The first and most common are leading questions. These sound like, don't you agree? Or, isn't it true? These questions are feeding the other person the answer you want. People don't like to be force-fed. Another non-productive question is called game over. Game over questions can be answered with a yes or no and can be perceived as sarcastic or condescending, such as, do you think a little coaching will help? Or, do you understand the consequences of? Or, do you think our safety policies don't apply to you? Whether the answer is yes or no, the game is over and so is any productive conversation. The next type of non-productive questions are questions that should be statements. These are usually perceived as sarcastic and sound like, "Are you going to leave that there for someone else to pick up? Please pick it up." Or, "Are you going to wear your mask under your nose like that? Please put your PPE on properly." As you saw in our training role plays, these types of questions can easily slip into your conversations if you aren't careful. The second part of interpretive listening is to clarify. The easiest way to clarify is to paraphrase. When you paraphrase, you put into your own words what you believe the speaker means. This allows the other person to respond to your interpretation, including responding to any assumptions you may have made in your interpretation. They can then confirm your understanding or clarify for you what you may not have understood. Here are some helpful lead-ins for paraphrasing. So you're saying that, "What I think you're saying is, as I understand, it sounds like, it seems, it looks like." After you paraphrase, you then ask a closed-ended question to make sure that what you just said is correct, such as, "Did I get that right or understand you correctly?" Interpretive listening involves inquiry and clarifying. 3 things to remember. Use TED-H, open-ended, and closed-ended questions to better understand the other's perspective. Avoid non-productive questions. Let the other person know you've understood them using paraphrasing and checking for understanding, closed-ended questions. Now it is time to meet with your coach to discuss this concept and get your learning passport stamped.